So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage, so then we can understand the time of the end as per Yeshayahu the prophet. We find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. As we read then Yeshayahu the prophet, also layer what then the prophet Yeshayahu explained regarding the spring feast, and also what the Messiah has done, since he is the very focus of every study. We find then himself speaking, and many times prior of his coming, he was then prepared via then what Yochanan or John had done. So then, in the third chapter of Yochanan or John, we find then a place where some of the people of the law, some of the people who were considered then leaders, they were trying then to imitate what Yochanan was doing in having a baptism of repentance. Obviously there arose questions regarding then purification, but then Yochanan was explaining areas related with the people being baptized by those people who had never had an encounter with heaven. So then it states in the 24th verse of the third chapter, "For Yochanan had not yet gone to prison, and a question had arisen regarding purification to one of the disciples of Yochanan, and a certain Yehudan," meaning then there was a person of the law. And there came to Yochanan and said to him, "Then our leader who was with you at the other side of the Jordan, or then Jordan river, whom you had testified." And then, behold, they came to him and said, those people who are talking with him, they are baptizing. And Yochanan said to them, then man is not able to receive from his own, except what is given to him from heaven. So this truly it explains as far as the life of John, and also the life of the Messiah. Though we understand, as long as we abide with the Messiah and we speak of him, we speak of what the Messiah has done, we speak of the completion of the spring feast, and we understand then the instructions from the view of the Messiah, then we are always on track of what is coming, the future, how we should relate with other people. And then we find ourselves studying further the instructions, because the Messiah then completes it. So then at this point we find then those people who were considered themselves leaders of the people, they were trying to imitate what John was doing, or Yochanan, and Yochanan simply mentioned, these people, they have no understanding from heaven, because it was not given them to do what they want to do, as far as we understand was regarding baptizing or baptism. So then, the more we study what the Messiah has said, the more we understand each of us must make decisions as far as what we want for our own souls when the time of death comes. Sometimes when we are young and very healthy and everything is going on for us, sometimes we don't give much time spent of what goes on then when our lives then are at the end. Because there is a place where the Messiah said many times was a place of torment, and we should each of us then at least considering the time of studied instructions and understanding what the Messiah has done and said. Next time I'm going to evaluate more from the enlightenment of the Torah and what the Messiah has said, because he said as we should abide in him, then we should not stumble. So speaking of him, when we get up, when we go to work, when we return, it is absolutely important, because the Messiah was the only worthy person as stated on Revelation. And there was then a heaven was silent for a half hour, because there was not a worthy person found then to open the seals. And then the Messiah was the only person found worthy to open the seals. So later on I'm going to evaluate more of the situation and also explain Revelation, extremely important. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.